Well, folks, here we are again, time for the weekly forecast. Before we get to the main forecast, let's take a look at this last week. We did see a cool front come through last weekend, of course, brought some cooler conditions. And then we've seen a gradual warm up into the midweek period. The warmest temperatures, of course, were across western Nebraska, closer to the western U.S. ridge. Here in eastern Nebraska, we were able to share in some of that troughing action a few extra days. It brought the cool conditions before we've seen some temperatures moving into the mid-90-degree range across the eastern part of the state. And then once again, we had another cold front come through that was very disappointing in the amount of precipitation it put out. Considering last week it was generating a half an inch to an inch and a half of precipitation, most locations didn't receive anything significant. The only moisture that was of any consequence fell across extreme northern Nebraska, and then some pockets across extreme southern Nebraska. We've got a couple more chances of precipitation in the forecast, so let's take a look at this next 7 days and see whether it's going to occur and what days it will occur. And the first thing I'll draw your attention to is here's that upper air trough responsible for the cool conditions, and a piece of energy is expected as the day moves through to pass through eastern Nebraska and then slide into the southern portion of the central corn belt. So we do have the chance for isolated showers and thunderstorms across eastern Nebraska, maybe a 20–30% chance, but we'll take what we can get. Very dry conditions across western Nebraska, and as you'll notice as we go to tomorrow, we'll see that trough starts to lift out into the eastern corn belt and weaken, and the ridge is trying to make its way in ever so slowly. We don't expect any moisture with the precipitation pattern on Sunday. We do expect to see some precipitation as we get into Monday, as we see another piece of energy come out of the central Rocky Mountains and head toward Oklahoma. This may generate some scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across the western 1/3 of the state. Now as we go into Tuesday, we're going to see that ridge trying to build back in, and there's another trough to our northwest, but overall we're expecting a dry pattern, and we'll see some warmer temperatures, especially in western Nebraska, where we may see temperatures making it up into the upper 90s. As we get into Wednesday, here comes that system, so we may see some showers generating itself during the afternoon hours across northern Nebraska, and then that activity will slide toward the southeast during the overnight hours into Thursday morning. Again, we'll be looking at a slight cool down as that cold front comes through in the northwest, where we could see mid-80s, and we'll be still stuck in the upper 90s across the southwest. Now on Thursday, much cooler conditions move into the region. The precipitation moves to our east. Under that northwest flow, we'll be looking at highs. It'll be in the low 80s across the northeast, but we'll still be in the mid-90s across the southwest. As we get into Friday, the ridge starts to rebuild back in. Warmer conditions come in. We'll be looking at highs in the low to mid-80s northeast, again to the mid-90s across the southwest. 8 to 14 day forecast from next Thursday to the following Tuesday. Continues the cool trend. In terms of precipitation, we see kind of a normal pattern, so maybe we'll get some moisture with this. Now, the bad news. Here's the forecast initially for September. Above normal temperatures across a good portion of the country, and unfortunately they continue to indicate below normal precipitation with eastern Nebraska on the western periphery of this core of dryness.